Julio Gartner, a man who looked death in the eye and emerged with hope in his heart. He often said, "We must never forget, but we must also forgive." His words are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. They remind us that even in the darkest of times, light can be found. Julio's story is a journey from the depths of despair to a life filled with purpose and meaning. Born in Krakow, Poland in 1920, Julio had a happy childhood. He loved to play in the park with his friends. He cherished his family and the vibrant Jewish community that surrounded him. But all that changed when the Nazis invaded Poland in 1939. Suddenly, the world Julio knew was gone, replaced by fear and uncertainty. The Nazis implemented harsh restrictions on Jewish people. Julio's family was forced into the Krakow ghetto, a cramped and overcrowded area. They lost their home, their belongings, and their freedom. Despite the hardships, Julio held on to hope, drawing strength from his family and his faith. Life in the ghetto was a constant struggle for survival. Hunger, disease, and the constant threat of deportation loomed over them. Julio witnessed unimaginable horrors. He saw neighbors taken away, never to return. He saw the spark of life extinguished in the eyes of his fellow man. These experiences left an indelible mark on him, shaping his worldview forever. In 1942, Julio and his family were deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. The journey in the cattle car was a nightmare. People were crammed together with no food, water, or sanitation. The air was thick with fear and despair. Julio held his family close, trying to shield them from the horrors unfolding around them. Upon arrival, they were greeted by the chilling sight of the camp. The barbed wire fences, the watchtowers, the smell of burning flesh. Families were torn apart. Julio was separated from his mother and sister, whom he would never see again. He clung to his father, vowing to survive for him. Life in Auschwitz was a daily struggle for survival. Starvation, disease, and brutality were constant threats. Julio was forced to perform hard labor, enduring beatings and humiliation. He witnessed the worst of humanity, the depths to which people could sink. Yet amidst the horror, he also witnessed acts of kindness and selflessness. He remembers a fellow prisoner sharing his meager ration of bread with him. He remembers a kind word spoken in secret, offering a glimmer of hope. These acts of compassion, however small, kept Julio's spirit alive. They reminded him that even in the darkest of places, humanity could endure. In 1945, as the Allied forces approached, Julio and his fellow prisoners were sent on a death march. Weakened and starving, they were forced to march for miles in the bitter cold. Many perished along the way, their bodies littering the roadside. Julio was determined to survive. He drew strength from the memory of his family and the hope of freedom. He helped weaker prisoners, sharing what little food he had. He knew that every step brought him closer to liberation. Finally, the day arrived. American soldiers liberated the camp. Julio, emaciated but alive, had survived the Holocaust. The feeling of freedom was overwhelming, but it was also bittersweet. He was alive, but his family, his childhood, his world were gone. After the liberation, Julio spent time in a displaced persons camp. He was overwhelmed with grief for his lost loved ones. But he was also determined to rebuild his life. He knew that his survival was a miracle, and he was determined to honor the memory of those who perished. Julio eventually immigrated to Brazil, a country that welcomed Holocaust survivors with open arms. He started a new life in Sao Paulo, learning a new language, adapting to a new culture. He found work as a tailor, a trade he had learned in the ghetto. Building a new life was not easy. Julio carried the scars of the Holocaust, both physical and emotional. He suffered from nightmares, haunted by the memories of what he had witnessed. But he was determined to find joy and meaning in his life. He found solace in the warmth of the Brazilian people. He built a new family, marrying and having children. He embraced life with a fervor that belied his past suffering. He often said that his children and grandchildren were his greatest triumph, a testament to the enduring power of hope. Julio never forgot the horrors he had witnessed, but he refused to let the darkness consume him. He believed in the power of forgiveness, not for the perpetrators, but for himself. He knew that holding on to hatred would only poison his soul. Julio dedicated his life to sharing his story, to bearing witness to the horrors of the Holocaust. He spoke at schools, universities, and community events. He shared his story with anyone who would listen. He wanted to ensure that the world never forgot what happened. He wanted to educate future generations about the dangers of hatred and intolerance. He believed that education was the key to preventing such atrocities from happening again. Julio's testimony was powerful. He spoke with a quiet dignity that commanded attention. He didn't shy away from the horrors he had witnessed, but he also spoke of the resilience of the human spirit, the kindness he had encountered even in the darkest of times. His message resonated with his audiences. He challenged them to confront their own prejudices, to stand up against injustice wherever they saw it. He inspired them to be more compassionate, more tolerant, more human. Julio Gartner passed away in 2010, leaving behind a legacy of hope and tolerance. He was a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity. His story is a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable evil, hope can endure. Julio's message of tolerance and understanding is more relevant today than ever. In a world often divided by hatred and intolerance, his words serve as a beacon of hope, a call to action. His life is a reminder that we must never forget the past, but we must also learn from it. We must strive to create a world where such horrors are never repeated. Julio Gartner's story is a story of loss, survival, and ultimately hope. It is a story that needs to be told and retold to ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust are never forgotten. Let us honor his memory by embracing his message of tolerance, compassion, and understanding.